The silence that now hangs in our living room is overwhelming. Thick and heavy, as if it's swallowing every ounce of warmth that was there just moments ago. Only 10 minutes ago, we were laughing together on the couch, aimlessly scrolling through our phones, sharing bits and pieces of our day like we always do. Then, in a fleeting moment, everything shifted. It started with something so small, so innocent. I had called him from the bathroom, my voice light and teasing, asking him to come kill the spider dangling ominously above the shower. When he suggested I just use a tissue to handle it myself, I laughed and threw out a careless jab. Something about him not being man enough to save his wife from a tiny spider. In my mind, it was nothing more than playful teasing, the kind of banter couples exchange without a second thought. But then I saw the change in his eyes, the way his expression tightened for a brief second before settling into something unreadable. His shoulders sagged ever so slightly, as if the weight of my words had settled there, pressing down on something tender and unseen. Without a word, he stood up, grabbed his keys, and walked out the door. That quiet exit, a complete absence of anger or defense, hit me harder than any shouting match ever could. It was a silence loaded with meaning, a silence that screamed louder than any argument. I keep replaying that moment, trying desperately to understand how a simple joke spiraled into this chasm between us. Growing up, I believed strength meant being able to tease and be teased, to speak your mind without taking things too seriously. My family's humor was a shield, teaching me to laugh at myself as a form of resilience. But now I realize that what feels like harmless ribbing to me can feel like a sharp, cutting blow to someone else, especially when it strikes at the core of who they are. My husband has always been the embodiment of gentleness and thoughtfulness, the kind of man who approaches problems with patience rather than aggression. Those qualities are exactly what drew me to him. Yet, in that one careless moment, I found myself echoing outdated stereotypes about masculinity, expectations I never truly believed in, but somehow let slip in a fleeting lapse. The irony stings. I criticize him for not fitting into a mold of manliness that I don't even respect. I love that he sheds tears during movies, that he remembers anniversaries better than I do, that he resolves conflicts through calm conversation instead of confrontation. So why did my word betray the very love I feel for him? Maybe it's the invisible pressure society places on all of us, the unrelenting message that real men must be physically strong, dominant, unbreakable. Even when we consciously reject those ideas, they seep in. Maybe I was tired and thoughtless, or maybe I was subconsciously testing him, trying to provoke a reaction to prove his strength. If that's true, then his quiet dignity in walking away was the most powerful answer he could have given. Sitting here in this empty house, I finally grasped the weight of what happened. For men, especially those as sensitive as mine, comments about their masculinity can feel like personal attacks, not just on their strength, but on their worth as partners and protectors. Society already bombards them with messages of inadequacy. Hearing from the person they love most is a wound that cuts deeper than anyone can see. I think about all the times he's been my rock, not through grand gestures or displays of brute strength, but through the subtle act of love that truly matter. He's held me close when I've cried over work stress, remembered my favorite tea when I was sick, listened patiently to my fears without rushing to fix them. He's protected me from loneliness, from feeling unseen, from facing life's struggles alone. That kind of strength, the strength of gentleness, empathy, and unwavering support, is real and invaluable. It doesn't involve wrestling spiders or lifting heavy objects, but it's every bit as vital. When he comes back, I hope he does, I need to apologize, not just for the words I said, but for the mindset behind them. I have to admit that for a moment, I let myself believe in a narrow, harmful definition of masculinity that reduces men to mere caricatures of toughness. I need to tell him that his kindness is not weakness, that his emotional depth is a gift, and that the way he loves me isn't measured by any outdated standard. From now on, I want to be mindful of how my words land. Teasing can be a beautiful form of intimacy between two people who know each other deeply, but it should build up, never tear down. It should celebrate the unique quirks and differences that make us who we are, not exploit the vulnerabilities we try to hide. Above all, it should never make the person you love question their fundamental worth. The house feels emptier than ever without him here, and I'm learning, in the quiet aftermath of this moment, that sometimes the strongest response to hurtful words isn't an angry outburst, but the dignified silence of someone who knows their own value, even when the person who should affirm it most fails to do so.